Yo, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. It's 11:23 a.m. Pacific time. It's December 12th, 2025. Let's begin. Senate fails to advance bills to avert Obamacare premiums hike. Senators on Capitol Hill failed to advance two pieces of legislation on Thursday that would have addressed the imminent spiking of health care costs for millions of Americans. Two proposals included a Republican plan that would have morphed expiring federal subsidies that currently address those annual premium costs into payments to health saving costs for Americans seeking to, as well as a Democratic plan that would have extended those subsidies for 2 years. The Democratic proposal received several votes for Republicans who crossed the line to support it, including Senators Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Dan Silver. Both plans ultimately failed to break the 60 vote filibuster threshold. Senators who spoke to reporters on the votes, particularly on the Democratic side, sounded frustrated. Republicans had left the issue until the very last minute. There was a time ago to negotiate whether there were some tweaks that needed to be made, said a dismissive Senator Adam Schiff, Democrat from California, speaking to a small gaggle on Thursday. All Republicans are proposing right now is a meaningless way to solve their political problem. They're really not interested in solving the healthcare crisis. The grumblings were far from isolated to the Democratic side. For God's sake of living, we can't wait until 10 days before the end of the year and then repair health care, complained Senator James Justice, a Republican from West Virginia. Federal subsidies for Obamacare exchange plans passed under the Inflation Reduction Act in 2022 under Joe Biden will expire at the end of the year. Already, thousands of Americans have received notifications that the annual premium for plans they purchased off of the public exchanges will jump by as much as 100% or more in some cases next year. The House and Senate have debated fixes for months, and Democrats sought to tie a clean extension of the subsidies for 2 years to their votes to end a federal government shutdown that lasted more than a month. Their efforts did not yield success, and eventually members of the party's caucus in the Senate backed down. Now, the end of those subsidies and immediate effects of those cost increases is just days away, with Congress seemingly little closer to coming to an agreement. The House meekly pushed for a plan that would include a subsidy extension for the Thanksgiving holiday, but the sheer volume of Republican resistance in the House forced the president to backtrack, according to reports. Now, a couple of Republicans remain on board with an extension of the subsidies. There is a greater but still reduced appetite among the GOP for an extension of the subsidies with new income caps. But the president himself continues to push for the subsidies to be made into direct payments to consumers, such as the HSAs, which doesn't appear to have the numbers to pass either. The architects of the GOP plan, Senator Bill Cassidy, urged Democrats to get over what he said was their red line, forcing the government to pay for subsidies that went direct to insurance companies. The senator who chairs the Health Committee was adamant that there couldn't be a negotiation until the opposition party buzzed. Others will not meet the American people where there are, Cassidy said. I'm asking all of us to have sympathy where our fellow Americans are, and our fellow Americans don't have $6,000 sitting around in order for this. To have sympathy where there are, and that is to give them a pre-funded account with which they can pay then out of pocket for the insurance. But as Thursday's votes ended, it looked increasingly likely that cutting a deal with Democrats could be a path forward for Republicans who are desperate to avert the cost hikes from hitting at the beginning of what already looks to be a bruising term year. Jane Shaheen, entering an elevator told reporters that she was open to looking at a Republican plan that involved morphing the subsidies into HSA payments, as long as HSAs could still be used to tackle the cost of premiums. She and her party remained adamant that Republicans were not serious about offering such a fix at this time. Senator Angus King, an independent who caucuses with Democrats, spoke to reporters ahead of the vote and noted that each Republican proposal so far included efforts to expand Hyde Amendment restrictions, which forbid any money from going to organizations that provide abortions, which Democrats view as a complete non-starter.